Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Four Towers Film.
And I am Doug 218. What's going on, my friend?
Well, it is Sunday. We are hoping you're having a good weekend and hope you're having a good weekend.
I've been having a great week.
Good. We are here recapping 2 episodes of MasterChef Legends, episode 3 and 4.
Oh boy.
A lot has happened, so
a lot has happened. Okay. So as episode 2 ended, we had Paula Dean as our guest judge coming in.
Keep going.
And so there were 5 aprons left. So first one we meet is Brittany. She's the 35 stay-at-home mom from Arlington, Texas. This is day 3, the final day of the auditions.
Right.
So
they're still getting their last aprons.
And there's like 5 aprons left.
Right.
So she does a film with horseradish butter, mashed potato, asparagus, and tomato. Then we meet Michael from the Good Beef,
California.
And he does a butter and lemon roasted salmon. You don't even see the tasting. No, they just come out and do the...
Well, I mean, when you first see Paula, there's quite a few of them that were really excited to see her because, you know, she's a legend and of course, big in Southern cooking. So there's a few there that it's like she's their idol kind of thing.
Oh, quite a few of them.
You know, so that was interesting.
Then we met Kelsey. She's 32. She's a physical therapist from Indianapolis, Indiana. She did a crispy steelhead trout with pea and tarragon puree, fingerling potatoes, and sauteed mushrooms. They all liked hers. There's the first apron one.
Yeah.
So we meet Levi. He's 20. Sorry, let me rephrase that. She is 23 years old. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's from Zion, Illinois. Gordon and Paula came out to talk to her, and she does a stuffed burger with black garlic and goat cheese. I didn't know there was such a thing as black garlic. Did you?
No. I don't think I've ever heard of black garlic.
Has anyone else ever heard of black garlic?
I haven't heard of black garlic.
And she did it with roasted Brussels sprouts. I'm sorry, guys. I am tripping over my words here today. So okay. It's Sunday. The voting came down to Joe was a no. Joe said no. Aaron liked the flavors, you know, and said for someone who, you know, her husband's breadwinner, she had to make a budget that is worth every dime and make good meals. You know, she showed a lot of class and a lot of skill. So Aaron said yes, Paula said yes, and Gordon said yes.
So she got an apron.
She got an apron. 3 of them left. So we made Tay. He's 29. He's a radio host from Omaha, Nebraska. Gordon and Paula come out to speak to him again. He does a buttermilk biscuit apple pie. Now I was intrigued. Mm-hmm. I'm an apple pie guy. You know that.
Yeah.
I love me some apple pie. And it was a vanilla bean topping. So they said, you know, it's pretty risky at least in this season to come in with a dessert and try and earn an apron.
Although if you think about it, dessert has kind of stymied a lot of them.
Oh.
Because it's not always that easy. It might seem like it's easy, but it's not always that easy. A lot of times, cooks, even chefs, don't necessarily like making desserts or sweets. They don't really like to bake. It's very precise as opposed to cooking, where you can kind of play with it a little bit. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them don't really like to bake or do sweet things because it's very precise. So if they're really good at it, I mean, even other seasons, they were known more as like a pastry chef or a sweet cook. And then they have to prove they can actually be savory too. So it's not necessarily that easy to bake. So
because it forces you to have to be, if the rest, like you said, if the recipe says it's a cup.
Right.
So the voting came down to Joe was a yes. He liked the taste. He thought, you know, even the simplicity of it, it was very good.
Right.
Ron kind of thought it was a little pedestrian. You're coming in with an apple pie.
Apple pie.
And I kind of expect more. Paula,
you know what? We haven't seen other ones where we kind of thought, well, that's it, and they oh, that's wonderful, you know, because sometimes simple's better. But then when somebody does something somewhat simple, that's not good enough. I don't know. Sometimes they're a little bit, I don't know.
So Paula, the queen of Southern cooking, she loved it. Yeah. She absolutely loved it. Gordon said yes. So Tay won an apron. We got 2 aprons left. Now, I kind of like this lady coming up next. Her name was Mary Jane. She was 59.
She was like a Pauline.
Oh, it was like meeting God.
or Elvis or something.
She was a hospice nursing assistant.
Yeah.
And from Texas. So a lot of this so far, like Paula and Gordon are back and forth out from the restaurant. So
like talking to them.
And I was curious to see how this one would turn out. A key lime habanero pie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you wouldn't think they hadn't heard of that before.
No.
And you wouldn't think, you'd think the habanero would be a little overpowering in a key lime pie.
With a toasted macadamia nut crust.
Yeah.
And, she's kind of like, oh my goodness, I better get her done. I better get it right. Like for the queen of Southern cooking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They're kind of skeptical about it.
And they thought at first when they met and she said what it was. And then when they tasted it, all was like, I love it. I would put this on my menu.
Yeah, that's something.
And when Joe says, it's a MasterChef tradition when the chef licks the plate clean.
That was Gordon.
That was Gordon.
Because they said you could taste the habanero, but it didn't overpower. It kind of bumped up the key lime flavor. And
that's kind of what Paula liked.
Right, yeah.
It kicked it up into that next level.
You wouldn't think it was habanero. That's kind of what you said. It's like it didn't taste kind of peppery. It just brought a little bit of spice to key lime. So they actually really like that.
And guess what?
Who would have thought,
She won her apron. She come blasting out of that restaurant, arms in the air. I felt happy for her, So our next young man, his name is Alan, or as he pronounces it, he's 20. He's a ballet attendant from Nogales, Mexico. His dish he called a quesadilla on steroids. Quesadilla on steroids. He made it with carne asada, roasted salsa, and avocado. Now, I felt sorry for this kid. It was 4 no's right across the board. And
I think that said he wasn't right. He was kind of immature.
And it was he tried to do something that it takes masters a long time to make.
A long time to master.
The homemade tortilla.
Right.
And Ron said, I can't do this to you. I can't expose you in this.
Well, because they say he has talent. There's potential there. But they worried that if they let him go in, that it's not going to make it because there's just better kind of thing that got aprons.
Yeah.
And that they didn't want to discourage him because he didn't make it.
And so Aaron says, don't be upset. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to offer you the Aaron Sanchez Scholarship for young Latino kids to learn to cook. You're going to come to New York.
Right.
And, and he said in Spanish, I'm going to look after you. And they all said,
And it's basically to encourage him because they said the potential's there.
Yeah. He just
they want to give him more of a skill set.
So he goes.
And actually, if you think about it, that's actually better.
Oh.
to get this.
For sure.
He's learning skills and then could turn this into a career. So.
Exactly.
If he went on, he probably wouldn't make it that far in the competition. So, and it could discourage him. So.
Okay, so our next two that we meet is Kathleen from Illinois. She presents a seafood risotto. This time, Joe and Aron come out.
Right.
And Joe's like, risotto has killed many a contestant on this show.
Right.
You got to make sure that it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Then we meet Michael from Ashbury Park, New Jersey. And he presented a vegan crab cake with a jalapeno remoulade and dill potato salad. Joe went straight for the throat. He said there wasn't enough time. The risotto wasn't, just crunchy and spots.
It was undercooked.
It was undercooked.
To begin with.
And
and I don't know if he used the right rice either, did he?
She. And the seafood broth didn't have enough time to really build in the flavors.
It takes a while to make a good risotto.
So Michael comes in and you just see Paula Dean's eyes light up, because he's a well-muscled dude, and she's like, "Can I have that body under my husband's head?"
Yeah.
And they all tasted it, his food, and they were like, it was very surprising. Like, it was good, and he showed some real creativity. They said, certain things you need to fine tune and edit, but you can learn that here.
Right.
So you don't get the yes, but he comes out and he's like, and his wife.
What do you mean they didn't show the answers? Like they just kind of left it hang.
That's kind of what I said.
You didn't get the yes, but I streamlined it.
Touche. So he came out, pulled that inside jacket pocket. Mm-hmm. So he won the final apron.
Right.
So
we are set with our top 15.
Top 15 is set. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm. This competition starts to begin.
The competition begins, and you see in the advertisement for next week, Chef Morimoto's going to be the guest judge.
The next one we're going to.
The next one we're going to talk about.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. So, Morimoto.
Chef Masahara Morimoto.
He shows up.
You would know from Iron Chef if you watch Iron Chef.
One of the original
Iron Chefs from Japan, even.
Yeah, he was one of the only ones to actually
make the transfer.
He was
the only one.
Bobby Flay.
Yeah, but he was there, but I don't know if he was like a permanent. I think he was a guest.
He competed on the Japanese.
Yeah, he was a guest kind of thing on the Japanese version. Where Morimoto was one of the actual Iron Chefs, but he competed. Bobby Flay did. So
Morimoto comes in, and they show them, and it's a demonstration. He's going to demonstrate.
And actually, I forget what her name was, but she said her first introduction, like most of us, her first introduction was through Iron Chef of Morimoto. Kelsey. Yeah. I could picture her. I couldn't think of her name.
So, they lower this monstrosity of a fish, and it's monkfish.
Monkfish.
So Morimoto says, I'm going to show you how to break it down.
And he says that in Japanese culture, they eat pretty much the entire fish. Yeah. So.
Which is actually a good way to go. Use every useful portion of that animal that you can consume.
Even skin. No, you can eat skin too.
So he breaks it down, finally gets to the meat portion of the fish, portions it out.
Yeah.
And then that's when Gordon says, okay, you have an hour challenge to make a monkfish dish from the portions that the chef has portioned out for you.
I think they were thinking they'd have to break it down. Yeah. Because usually when they do demonstrations like this, they also have to do it because they usually don't show them stuff without a reason.
Yeah, it's like a copy.
Like they usually have to follow like a copy or a replication type challenge. but they didn't. They just need them. They want them to make dishes from what Morimoto broke down. So that was at least good for.
So the prize was a dinner for two at Morimoto's Las Vegas restaurant. And then they also found out one of y'all are going to be leaving tonight. So,
not a mystery box challenge.
No.
So it's a different.
So they get into it. We first find out from Tay he's going to be making a blackened on me monkfish sandwich. It's kind of like, as he described it, kind of like a po' boy sandwich, but with Asian flavors. Then we get Abe. Like, they rifled through something pretty fast to get
just like 15.
Yeah. So Abe is making a pan-seared monkfish, pickled pearl onions with and with buttermilk sauce. He says it's kind of a simple breakfast that he had in Romania.
Right.
Well, he's a contestant whose mother was a diplomat. So
yeah, he's going to travel all over the world, but he said he spent about 3 or 4 years living in Romania.
Yeah.
So.
Then we see Anaya. She is making a drunken fish taco with chipotle lime dressing and a cabbage slaw. Now, you're going to notice there's a kind of a running theme here.
Well, at least one other.
Yeah. Elise is making a Baja fish taco with chips and a spicy mayo aioli.
And she said she's making a taco, but she's never cooked with monkfish before. And so she was thinking she's going to try to bring it into her comfort zone.
Exactly.
And cook like tacos, like she's comfortable cooking that. So.
And she's like, well, we do fish fry every Friday. And so I'm going to do the best I can.
And it's funny. I think it's a Ron said that it actually, monkfish does do well when it's fried.
Yeah.
It's just your flavors you have to kind of work with. I think it does do well in a fried dish, basically.
Yeah. So then I kind of giggled when I saw this. Autumn is like, I'm afraid of seafood. I don't like seafood. I've never touched a fish. I don't know how to break down a fish.
Well, luckily she didn't have to break the fish down. Yeah, that's so.
I'm like, the Boston bartender's got a problem. Seafood challenging, you don't want to do none of that. So Michael is making a common parmesan encrusted fish, lemon garlic kale, and seasoned rice. Gordon was like, that sounds fantastic. And he kind of got Michael to explain to Chef Morimoto what he does. It's like he's like a life counselor and sex therapist. And Gordon's like, you ever need one of those? And Morimoto's like, no comment. So Joe and Aaron, it switches. Joe and Aaron come out. And they talk to Kelsey. She's doing pan-seared monkfish. It's basted in lemongrass and ginger with cauliflower puree topped with cilantro, mint, and shiso. Aaron kind of liked the sound of the flavors and everything. Now, Anne, she's making an herb encrusted monkfish, baby potato, and leeks with a champagne wine reduction. That sounds like a lot of work.
I think a lot of them do.
Yeah. Oh God.
Sometimes I find they find some things too complicated and other things not complicated enough. But a lot of them seem to be kind of complicated to me.
Well, Gordon actually talks to Miles next. Miles is doing a honey glazed monkfish with a sauce supreme with petit pois à la française and fondant potatoes. Gordon's like, really? He goes, you need to edit yourself down here. What do you need? What do you need the fondant potatoes for? He goes, well, I want to put a starch on the plate that the fish can rest on. And Gordon's like, okay. Kind of like, you need to focus now. Sue, who is focusing her flavors on Burmese
Right.
culture. Joe and Aaron come out to talk with her.
And she said she wanted to honor both her own Asian and Morimoto's Asian backgrounds.
So she is making a ginger kumquat glazed monkfish with butternut squash puree with roasted garlic. And they kind of like the sound of that, and they're like, "Good luck. We'll let you get back to it." Now Gordon and Morimoto come back around. They come out to talk to Tay, and after tasting the fish that Tay was going to use in his sandwich, Gordon suggests.
You gotta know when they suggest stuff to listen to it.
Well, he says, you see all the water coming out of this after you cooked it.
Yeah.
He goes, "Do you think it's really a good idea to put in a sandwich? I do not want
soggy."
Yeah, he more or less said, "I do not want to be eating a soggy diaper."
Nobody wants that.
No one wants that.
A soggy diaper, nobody wants that.
So he's like, "Okay, now I gotta switch things up."
Yeah.
So he's
at least he was smart. He actually took the suggestion and advice and changed things. Other people don't do that, and then they end up in trouble.
So he goes burning off towards the pantry again.
Yeah.
He then changes his dish to a jerk monkfish with Jamaican rice and peas with a habanero hot sauce. Then we get to our Boston barkeep, and you find out she's been to Japan a number of times.
Several times, yeah.
And
she actually speaks Japanese.
Exactly. They asked, what is she going to do? Autumn says she's going to do a pan-seared monkfish with gingery, as she put it, gingery rice, and sauteed bok choy and pickled fried cauliflower. Gordon looks at Morimoto and goes, "That sounds very Japanese." Morimoto's like, "That is very Japanese."
Well, that's basically what she was saying. She loves Japan. She's been to Japan a lot. She likes the flavor, so that's what she was trying to do with her dish.
Now, well, I know we're only 4 episodes in, and
it's the first competition.
And it's the first competition. Now, Alejandro, they had an issue with Alejandro. Like, they told him, you got to edit yourself. Can't do 16 different techniques on a plate at once.
Right.
So he's doing a pan-seared monkfish with cream of leeks and potatoes and 2 types of asparagus. Now, as he's talking to Gordon and Morimoto, he's got one of those handheld torches, and he's torching a cucumber.
I think you put like sesame seeds or something on top of he's torching his cucumber.
And he's like, it'll bring out the taste of it, and Gordon's like,
not much taste of cucumber.
Gordon's like, torching a cucumber, that's a first in my career. No. So clock runs down, and while this that was funny, and while this is all going on before the clock runs down, you can see in the camera shot they're all wandering around looking at the dishes,
which they do.
And
they'll taste too. It's kind of like when they do the Mr. Box challenges, and they give a taste and they're talking to them like throughout the cooking process.
Yeah,
so that's basically what they're doing.
So. They say there are 3 people that we'd like to taste first. So those are, as you remember, the top 3.
Right.
So the first one to get the call up is Kelsey. And hers is a pan-seared monkfish with cauliflower 2 ways with a fish sauce caramel. And all the judges tasted it. They said the fish was cooked spot on.
The flavors.
All the flavors weren't overbearing, but they complemented each other.
Well, because I think they were a bit suspect of caramel.
Yeah.
But they said it actually works with it.
So, Autumn is next to get tasted.
She was surprised.
She was surprised.
Yeah.
She looked it.
Yeah.
So, she made a teriyaki glazed monkfish with ginger rice, sauteed bok choy, and pickled fried cauliflower. They all tried it. They said the glazing it in teriyaki helped with the cook.
Yeah.
You know, it helped take a lot of that water out.
Mm-hmm.
And the rice and bok choy were really good. And the cauliflower was kind of a nice, like, finishing note.
Right.
So, you know, they gave her glowing comments as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sue is the final one called up. Right. And her face just cracks, lit up from ear to ear. Mm-hmm. So she is doing a ginger, like you said earlier, a ginger and kumquat glazed monkfish with a butternut squash puree, sauteed mushrooms, and sugar snap peas. When she must have added these towards the end of the dish, because when they first talked, she didn't say anything about the peas. So,
well, or she hadn't gotten there, or maybe she thought it was a good thing to add.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes after they talk to them, they'll add things.
That's true.
Things, and that's actually a good thing that they do that.
The only negative came from Morimoto himself.
Yeah.
He said the butternut squash puree was too spicy.
Right.
He
for
said
him.
For him.
It's too spicy for him.
Everything else, I loved.
Right. Everybody else liked it, though, but he said it was too spicy for him.
So...
Because we've heard, and if you know anything about Japanese cooking, a lot of what North Americans consider spicy, they don't.
No.
So they said it's not very spicy in Japanese cooking.
Yeah.
So that could be why maybe he thought it was too spicy.
Could very well be. Could very well be.
Yeah.
So Gordon says, okay, we're going to need to discuss. They walk back. They're talking back and forth. They all come to a consensus. They come out.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, the winner of the dinner for two at Morimoto's restaurant in Las Vegas is
this week.
Kelsey.
Yeah.
So she's like, you know, it's great to win and to be in the top three in my first challenge. The first challenge.
Win the first challenge.
Yeah. And Gordon says, okay, one more thing. Y'all take a trip upstairs.
Right. You're safe.
You're safe. Now we have the highs. Now we're going to the lows.
To the bottom three.
So the bottom three dishes.
You might have guessed who the bottom three are. I don't think it's really much of a surprise.
No. Anaya got called up, and she presented her drunken monkfish taco with citrus pickle slaw and chili rojo salsa. Morimoto's like, the fish is bland. Yeah. There's no seasoning, nothing. Arun liked the salsa and the slaw, but
that was about it. Didn't like the taco. Plus, she's the one that she had, I believe. She initially wanted to make her own tortillas for the taco.
And she ran
out of time. So she actually had to store-bought taco too. So, and she didn't want to, but she really had no other alternative at that point.
And
so that kind of worked against her too.
The next one up to be tasted and grilled is Alejandro. He presents a 5-spice pan-seared monkfish. Follow along now. This is going to get complicated. With creamed potato and leeks, mussels, broccolini, with asparagus and cucumber garnish.
Remember? You blowtorched the cucumber.
They basically said none of this makes sense.
No, it like they said if you took a few of the pieces out, the fish itself was good and all that, but all the rest of it was just like convoluted.
Yeah, it made no sense whatsoever.
It's like one big huge mess. Really.
And like Gordon said, cook one thing right.
Yeah.
And before you put anything else on, edit half of that.
Well, because they're saying the point of this competition isn't to do every technique and do it in one dish and just do it in all one dish. It's to try to take one technique and do it well in that particular dish. Don't do like tons of techniques and throw it all together because it doesn't work. It's just like a big mishmash.
So our final one of the bottom three to come up is Miss Elise. She did a Baja fish taco with spicy aioli and chips. She was like, soggy. And, you know, it's chips.
Well, they kind of like the chips.
Yeah.
But they're chips, you know.
And Gordon said
that's not supposed to be the star of the dish.
Gordon's like, there's no refinement. Like, there's big chunks, little chunks.
With the slaw.
With the slaw.
And they said that to her, too. If you remember, when they went talk to her while they were cooking, they said to her, how are you cutting it up? And see, this thing, she didn't listen to what they were telling her, like, that one's done. And she didn't fix it. Like, they basically said, you're going to get big chunks.
Yeah.
And they told her this. I mean, when they tell you something, pay attention to it, because you know if you get called up, they are going to tell you that.
Exactly.
So, but she didn't listen to it, so.
And so it's like, and Gordon said, like, when you batter something and the batter is so thick, it doesn't cook all the way through. It's soggy.
It didn't cook all the way through. It's too thick.
So they said, okay,
and they told her how, like, shake it vigorously so you remove the excess, so that'll actually cook all the way through.
So they said, okay, listen, we need to discuss. They dropped back, and you kind of got, you know, you
had an idea. Like, I don't know, you had an idea, but it was a bit. I kind of boiled it down to only two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they really had an issue with two of them specifically.
Okay.
Like between Alejandro and Anaya.
Yeah.
No, Elise, I should say. Because they really focused mostly on them. So I kind of thought, I think it's probably between them. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so they came back out and said our first contestant to leave, Elise. You know, and he's like,
I kind of thought it might have been Alejandro, but I guess there was just too much, maybe because the undercooked batter and stuff. Yeah. So that could be why.
So they told her, you know, hold your head up, and you know, and she's like, oh, this ain't gonna get me down, you know. Yeah. And
it's a tough competition.
Oh, for sure. Everyone kind of had very glowing, you know, comments as she's leaving. Yeah. And then they announced next week's guest. Sorry. She's a baker, Sherry Yard. Now, I haven't actually heard of who this legend is. Maybe you guys have. But it looks like a baking challenge.
It does. Yeah.
And from the video package at the end, it doesn't look like it's going well for a lot of people.
Like we said earlier, sometimes baking for just cooks is very tough because it's very precise, and you know, like even decorating it's very precise, that kind of thing. So it can be very difficult to do baking challenges. So it should be interesting to see it.
So, okay, we got to the final 15.
Right. Yeah. And then now one's gone.
We're now down to the final 14.
Yeah. This is her first elimination.
She was her first elimination. Yeah. Do you think she was the right one to go?
Yeah, I think because, although I think, even though I thought Alejandro might have been on the bot, like they may have been looking at him.
Yeah.
They liked his fish, and they liked some of the flavor of it. Yeah. So it's just that he needs to learn to edit himself. He has technique. He knows techniques, but he's just kind of doing it the wrong way. So I think they tend to give them a little bit more of a chance when that happens. So then you're down with Anaya and Elise. And I think why Elise left, even though they thought Anaya's was bland, first the batter was undercooked and stuff. And really the only saving grace was chips. And so even though they liked it,
it wasn't
that's
enough.
Not supposed to be the star of the show, it's supposed to be the one fish. So I think Elise was probably the right choice out of that. What do you think?
It was kind of a tough call between the two ladies because they're both making tacos and
they didn't really succeed at it.
And both comments came out like, do you think, like, in this season of all seasons,
I think this is enough.
This is enough.
I said that to Anaya. I think that's enough.
And you know, it
could be the flavors were good.
Exactly. I have a great respect for anyone who is confident in what they do.
Right.
But sometimes you got to listen to what they're saying to you.
Yeah, exactly. They're telling you something for a reason.
That's it.
You know, and you'll notice some people will listen to it and they adjust, like they did. They'll adjust, and then others just plow ahead, like Elise, and even Alejandro just plowed ahead. I mean, that's why they ended up in the bottom three.
Where someone like Tay, he switched things midway.
He listened.
Yeah.
And ended up being a better dish.
You know,
he wasn't in the bottom.
That's it. He was in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, well, middle better than the bottom.
That's true.
At least he can work and make it be in the top next time.
That's it.
So.
I only see it getting harder from here.
Oh yeah, Legends.
You know, so I'm curious to see what episode 5 is going to be like. Yeah. You know,
which is baking.
Which will be the baking one. But I'm digging it this season.
Yeah. Yeah. You like when they throw curves, and I actually like the idea of the legends this year. And it looks like it's going to be a different legend each year, each episode. So I like that, you know. So, and then it looks like they're going to cook in the style of that legend so far. So that's what's cool too. I like that.
You know, so
we'll see what happens.
And it's gonna be a bumpy ride. I can feel it. But I'm excited to do the show. With you and talk about this
and having you guys with us.
Yeah.
And hope you guys enjoyed it. That is it for this week for MasterChef Legends season 18, episode 3 and 4. Again, last week because it was Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to you all, those who are dads out there. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. And next week, there's 2 big holidays coming up, but we will be here on Sunday. For those in Canada, we wish you an early happy Canada Day. And for you in the States, we probably won't be talking till after your Independence Day. Happy Independence Day to you guys. So we will talk to you next week for MasterChef Legends season 18. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, I hope you did. Give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And hit the notification bell so you know when we go live every time MasterChef Legends airs.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for being here. And thank you guys for watching. And we will see you next week. Take care, guys. Bye.